Welcome back, everybody. Something completely different here. Doubt whether many would have seen this. This is an Avondale Audio APX dual power supply from way back 1980s. I think 1980, something like that. A bit later, probably. We'll see. But it's the APX, which is a dual output, which was designed to run the Avondale Graduation 1, the legendary Graduation 1 superb preamplifier. But things have moved on now, of course. Before we go further, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers. Welcome aboard. Hope you get a bit of fun out of this, a bit of entertainment. This is not a monetarised event whatsoever. It costs me, doesn't cost you. But it might glean some information that might be helpful. Maybe not now, maybe in the future. So this is the, I think it's the APX. I've only just taken the screws out of the bottom of it. So this is the first reveal. It's the first time it's seen the light of day in a long time. And I'm trying to, hold on a minute. There's only two screws. Yes, I've just removed those. Hang on a minute. There we go. So there it is. I'll give this case a clean before it goes back together. But what we're going to do, we're going to bring this up to date. So we've got a fantastic EI transformer. These are the APX supplies, dual regulated. And what we're going to do, everything's on board. This is the APX unit. There's two of them. As I said, it's a dual supply. So you have the rectifier, smoothing capacitors, and all the circuitry and the outputs. And it's very good in its day, but things have moved on big time. And what we're going to do is replace these two boards with the Avondale ASR2. So I've got to fit this in along with a couple of capacitors, if it'll all go. I'm sure it will. And a couple of rectifiers in this one case for the gentleman. So I've got to work it out how I'm going to do it. But obviously the rectifier is going to go here, side by side. I'll work it out as I go along. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to strip out these boards to start with, which is just a simple matter of some screws and some terminals. So I'll just whip these off. They've been on here a very long time. There we go. It's that one. Cool. Oh me. They're coming slowly. They're a bit tight. Oh no, there you go. They're a bit tight. That's it. Good thing. Good thing they're a tight fit. So now we get our trusty Allen key, which I think it might be that one. No, not that one. It might be that one. 2.5. Yeah. We've got 4 of these to come off. There we go. In itself, these APX units are very good indeed. Bit of heat there, look. I think the guy who owned this, the gentleman that owned this, left it on 24/7, but you can see the age to it. So I don't know what size that Zener is. It'll be a voltage regulator sort of, but anyway, there's that. These just unscrew. Let me get these. Washers coming out everywhere here. Something that you don't see today. They don't tend to use washers if they possibly can help it. Obviously it adds to cost, although they do have these encapsulated washers on fixings. So there we are. So there's the two discarded regulator boards. Now what I've got to do now is work out what to do with these. So in effect I've got to put one of those there, one of those there, like that. A couple of capacitors, or I could use just one actually if I wanted, but I'm going to try and use two, thus. Something like that. And of course there's a bit of wiring to be done, so I've got to do a bit of drilling. There's one hole here already which I can utilise. There's one hole here I may be able to utilise. Oh yes, I might be able to get away with that. And I'll need to drill a couple of holes for the fixings for that there. So there's a little bit of work there. I'm going to go away and drill some holes. I'll do some measurements. Obviously this would have to be rewired. This regulator, the ASR, is a shunt regulator, so it runs quite warm. So this needs to have good needs to have good contact with the chassis here. I can put it round that way, can I actually? Put these round that way. And this way, it better go on that side like that. Away from the AC. Not that it really matters. Yeah, it'd be better this side, like that way round. So the heat does need to get away from this whole chassis, and the casing will become a heat sink. So I'm going to go away and drill some holes, take this bit of wiring out of the way, I don't need to touch the AC. The AC is connected to that. Rectifiers. So I'll be back very shortly. So I've drilled some holes, mounted these two smoothing capacitors, these rectifiers, AC to DC rectifiers I've mounted on the chassis, and I've drilled some holes to mount the actual ASR regulator itself, which is going to be, first of all, because of the heat, I'm going to put some paste, the heat dissipation, because this runs at about 34 degrees, 35 degrees. I'm just going to put just a little squirt of heat paste on there, so that the heat will transfer onto this chassis. Thus. Lovely. Just going to wipe that off. There we go. So there it is. I'm hoping that I'll just slide in there just nicely. Perfect. Yep, that's fine. So now it's just a wire up. These are the two zeros. What I'm going to do, there's the negative on here is going to be the 0. So there's two ASRs. There's one this side, one that side. And we have a ground and a ground, and in, out, out. So these two, I have to extend these, will be connected to these here. I'm going to put a buzz bar across here and extend these and connect these to them. Then they go to the negative. These positives go to the in, and then the outs go to this 5-pin in up here. So I'll just go away and do that, and I'll be back shortly. So I've drilled some holes, mounted these two rectifiers, and off the DC, so we've got AC, there's two windings on this transformer, AC, which we've gone across each one. So independently we have two capacitors, there's two regulators, two windings of this transformer. So the DC comes off this rectifier and goes to this capacitor. The DC of this one goes to this capacitor. The supply comes along here and goes to the supply pins independently. And we have the earth returns. We got the earth returns off the transformer. We come in, remember I said I had to extend it a little bit, goes to this earth bar. And all that goes back to there. We have the earth, or the 0 volts ground if you like, coming off this 5-pin DIN. That goes back and is centrally located here, and the supplies come off of here and go to this here. So we're going to power this up and see what we got. So we're going to come off an earth. There's the earth, 0 volts or negative, whatever you want to call it. What do we got? Let's have a look. Oh, nothing. So I'm going to plug this in, power that up. We've got 240 volts on the variac, if we can see that, 239, 240. So I zoom out and bring this Bring this in here. Now I think from Avondale we should have, I'm just going to switch it on. 25 volts, 24 volts, we've got 25 volts. And this is going to power, this has been modified to power Avondale Graduation 1, which runs at 30 volts. So I'm just going to wind this up to 30 volts, turning on this variable pot. I'm going to give it 30, there you go, that'll do, 30.5. Just over. So I will be back in a minute. I'll do the other one, I'll be back. So I'm now on this regulator on this side, as you can see, and I've just wound that up to 30. I'm just going to give it a little bit more, just over the 30, 30.5, like that. So now they're both the same. Now I'm going to just leave this to soak test, because as I say, it does run a bit warm, and I will put it in its case, screw the case on, and just see what temperature it gets to. I've got to give the case a bit of a clean, so I'll be back as soon as I've done that. So I've just taken this out of the system. It's 38, 40 degrees, 39, something like that, just a second ago. So it does run warm, we knew that, but it seems to be fine. This has been running for nearly 5 hours now. What's the time it is? 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I finished this 4 hours ago. It's been in my system, working flawlessly really, but shunt regs do run warm. So there is an Avondale fully serviced, brought up to date, the Avondale power supply, cleaned. I'll put a little badge on the bottom to say that it's an ASR2 installed now, fully serviced. Now this ASR power supply for grad 1, it's been in use, excuse me, 6 hours, been on 6 hours now. And we have 37 degrees, so that's just about perfect. The only proviso with this type of power supply, they do run warm, and as such you want this, the casing as a heat sink, you want this away from any heat. All this is cold, this is just cold, so you wouldn't want to put that on top of another piece of equipment, because the temperature would rise again. So there have to be some segregation. So that's it, it's all done and dusted. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated your comments. If you want any, please do. If you don't, I don't care. Many thanks. Bye.